Hey everybody, welcome to episode 25 of Between the Lanes. I'm Ralph.
And I'm Ron.
All right, we got a lot of hot topics to get to today, so we'll get started with the race results as usual.
Well, before we do the race results, we have to do the great big story.
Oh, yes.
Great big story that, well, I don't know if it shook the entire slot car racing world, but Brad Freisner was the first slot racer, Group 7 racer specifically, to break the 1.3 second barrier in a qualifying lap with a Group 7 car. And Brad held the previous record at 134 something, and they raced this weekend at the Czechoslovakian Nats in Pilsen on the Superfast King track there. And in the first round, Brad broke his record with a 131, and then on the bye round, changed motors, and I guess he went to a little bit larger hub tire, and so on that bye round, he broke the magic 1.3 barrier and went 1.286.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't just like a 1.29 or anything. I mean, it was pretty handily down there, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of a big jump. I mean, when you go like 134 to 131, that's a big jump, and 134 to 128 is a huge jump.
It's over a half a tenth, yeah.
And then Brad, this is Brad seen at the airport before he came back home. But so, you know, we're gonna try and show you.
Try to show you the 1.286 world record lap.
Here we go. So,
all right,
here we go. There's Brad brushing his braid. Well, no, I guess he's putting glue in his tires probably, or rubbing the glue out of them. Oh, get the ad out of there. And the sound that was heard around the world, let's turn it up. So this is a little bit more extended video than I've seen before, but we'll go back here and show it to you one more time.
There's Horky there, it looks like.
Yeah, Horky's there. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, there he is getting his congratulations. There's Vladimir Horky. And, you know, over the years, he's raced wing cars off and on. There's Brad getting all the congrats. And, well, let's see if we can get – like I said, this is a little bit more extended video than I'd seen as to what was posted on Facebook. So congratulations to Brad Freisner on definitely a big step. I mean, you know, running that 128 lap was huge for him. So, you know, Brad, he has the world record and he has the American record because they didn't break that record this weekend down at Tracy. So moving right along. We'll see if we can find the next where we're going to go here. We're going to go into race results next. And see if we can make this happen. So, of course, they had the race at Pilsen. There was a lot of wing car racing this weekend. So
yeah, there really was.
We're going to go on the race results, and we're going to start with the Hillbilly Nationals down at Tracy Brown Slot Cars R Us in White House, Tennessee. The racing started on Thursday night, January 25th, with the Group F class. And Bill Fulmer in the center was your winner. And Paul Peterson on the left was second, and Smokey on the right side of your screen was third. And that's a super big win for Bill Fulmer, too. You know, Bill used to be a wing car racer, and then he had some health issues and took time off and came back and started retro racing, and that's pretty much what he's been racing for the last several years. But every now and then he's been running the Group F cars at Mark's Model World and stuff, but he made the big trip down to Tracy's and wound up winning the race. And him and Paul were on the same lap. I mean, they were just a few sections apart. So that was a really, really close race. And I think they even posted a day or two ago that was like a world record for Group F cars on a King track. And then the Group F Pro, you had Richard Canute in the middle. He was your winner. NASCAR's Jeff Green on the left was second, and Jimmy Bentley was third. And, you know, people say, what's the difference between a Group F car and a Group F Pro car? And basically it's the motors, because, like, in the Group F class, you have to run the sealed Pro Slot 4002 FK. And then in the Pro Group F class, you can run, like, American-made arms. I think they run Group 12 arms and aluminum end bells and stuff like that. So Saturday started off with Hillbilly 12, and Archie King on the left, he wound up TQing and setting a new world record of, I think it was 1.902, and Buf was second fastest at 192, because those two were maybe the only two that was under the old record. But Rob Garland was the winner. He's in the center, and he was actually in the B main, and his winning total was 4 laps higher than the A main. So Rob was the overall winner from the B main. Archie King was second, and Gugu was third.
It's fitting that he won the class that he sponsored too.
Oh, yeah, you made the plaques, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know he sponsored the class, so you gotta wonder what happened there. There was some payoff money involved. No, just kidding.
I doubt it, yeah.
And then C12, Cobalt 12 was the next class stop, and Richard Canute in the center, he was the winner and TQ, and he also set new world records in both qualifying and lap totals. Merrill Todd, Mr. Pink, was second, and Vince Brown, longtime Team Kofor Group 7 racer, was third. And Richard and Merrill was also on the same lap at the end of that race, just sections apart. So, you know, some definitely some tight racing. And then 27 light, Gugu was TQ, and he was your winner. And Greg Creasy on the left was second, and that's a pretty big finish for old Greg Creasy. I mean, I've raced with Greg, or I've known Greg since the early 80s, and Greg has always raced 27s, and he was always good at it. And Buf there on the right, he was third. And then two-motor open, Timmy Skirka won with Forrest Hoover second and Gugu third in the two-motor open race. And then in the open race on Sunday, Buford was the winner. I think Chubby TQ'd. He was close to Brad's record, but didn't quite get it done. Forrest was second again, and Timmy was third. And I don't know if you watched the last heat on Facebook that Russ Martin posted, but
right.
You know, Forrest was down, or Forrest was up actually, I don't know, 6 or 8 laps, I think, going in the last heat, and you know, Buford ran him down, and they were side by side on the track. I think Buf was on orange and Forrest was on green, and you know, as far as I know, they both stayed on the entire heat, but Buf ran him down and passed him, and wound up winning by 1 lap. So pretty dramatic finish. So
some pretty close finishes all the way around.
Yeah, real good weekend. So also this weekend was the Australia Day Classic down in Williamstown, Victoria, Australia at King Willie Raceway. I only seen results for 3 classes, and they're all wing classes. Group 12 was won by Roundy. Dave was second. Jeff was third. In the 27 light, I have the pictures of the cars. I just don't have the pictures of the drivers. In 27 light, Rowdy was your winner again with Rick second, Jeff third. And in the Group 7 class, Rick was the winner with Cody Bramble second, and Roundy was third. So I think a lot of people, when we post up pictures of the winners, they don't know what kind of cars sometimes they're running. So we thought throw the wing cars in there so people kind of know what wing cars are if they don't know what they are. So
Right.
And then Formula 2000 wing car racing was at Lucky Bob's up in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. And Jim Mayer was the winner in box stock and Cobalt 12. And Paul Pfeiffer was the winner in Group 27 and Group 7. And for those who may not know who Paul Pfeiffer is the owner of Alpha Products, mainly Alpha Tires. And Paul's been racing since the 60s, and he's a 3-time world and national champion in Group 7. And he's been racing a long time, and he's still active, and that's good. So, other big news. Big news. It was the 10th annual Checkpoint Cup at Buena Park Raceway with the Southern California Retro Racing Association. And they ran 5 classes / races over the weekend. And this is like the perpetual trophy that I think it lives at the track, but I'm not 100% sure. And it has the years and the classes and who won what. And then where there's blank spots, those classes weren't raced that year or whatever. But I think on that plate right there, it goes from like 20.
Like 2009 to 2014.
Yeah, and Duran's name's already on there like 20 times, I think I counted. So that's not counting, I guess, the last 3 years or 4 years.
It could be a plate and like another plate on another.
Yeah, I think there's a plate on the other side of it. Yeah. So anyway, in the they started off with retro coupes on the flat track, and Duran in the center was your winner. Rick Lynn on the left was second, and Tim Neha was third. And then they ran F1 cars on the flat track, and Dale Yamashita in the center was the winner. Duran was second, and Mill Conroy was third. And then the shifting move over to the King track on Friday night for the Retro Pro Race, where Alex was the winner in the center, Duran was second, and Jason Holmes was third. And, you know, it looks like it must have been cold in Southern California last Friday night because they all got their kind of winterish-looking coats on. So just a little tidbit there. But anyway. And then Saturday was Can-Am. It was a handout race. They used the Retro Hawk short shaft motors. And they had 46 entries. And all I know is Duran won. I haven't seen any other race results yet or any podium pictures of the Can-Am, but Duran was the winner. And then Sunday was F1 on the King track, non-handout. Duran won again. Ben Cervantes Jr. on the left was second. And Howie, world-famous Howie, was third. And, you know, last week I think we talked about Howie's name being on the Cup. And Howie's name is on the Cup. He won a stock car race and a coupe race out there in the past. So
okay,
name is on the Checkpoint Cup. So from sunny Southern California, we go to sunny Florida for the GUR Retro Race at P1 Slot Car Raceway. And this would have been, I guess, F1. Yes, F1. Brian Ambrose was the winner, followed by Jeff Bonanno and Doc Doherty in third. And now that was Can-Am, I'm sorry. And then in F1, Jeff Bonanno was the winner. Marcus Ramos was second. Ed Hoffman was third. And in the IMSA class, which they run the GT Coupes and the Can-Am Plus cars together, Brian Ambrose won his second race of the day with Jeff Bonanno second and Doc Doherty third. So
it's pretty crazy that the coupes are beating the Can-Am Plus cars.
Well, I guess it would depend on. They run the same motor. If I remember right, the Can-Am Plus cars can run smaller rear tires. There's no there's no minimum weight on those.
Smaller front tires.
Smaller front tires.
You would think a better body, more aerodynamic, probably more downforce.
Yeah, you would think. I forgot about the body difference.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Now that you bring that up. So New England Retro Racing was at Modelville Hobbies in Ashland, Massachusetts, and they ran stock cars and Can-Am. And the stock car class, Vinny Cafazzo was your winner, followed by Frankie, I think it's Blenkhorn, and then Keith Libby. Then Can-Am, Keith Libby won. I also know that he TQ'd and set a series track record for Can-Am on the Big Purple Mile track. David Panich was second, and Peter Lentros, the owner, was third. And then Retro Tokyo at Cheerio Speedway in Tokyo, Japan. We had in the stock car class, Yuji in the center winning, Kamo second, and Tibu third.
Very interesting stock car chassis he has there.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I should have I didn't think you'd bring that up, but I could have probably posted a picture of it, but oh well. And then Can-Am, Cacho was your winner, Kamo was second, and Ryu was third. In F1, it was Cacho again, with Kamo again second, and Nobu on third. So Kamo was the most consistent. I mean, he was second in all three classes.
Yeah, he's always up there.
And then the AWRA, the American Womp Racing Association, was at Thunder Road in Virginia. And in the Legends class, Bobby Prout in the center was your winner. David Gray on the left, I believe, was second, and Ryan Duke was third. Stock car class, it was Josh Henderson with Bobby Prout second. So I guess they're kind of reversed. And Ryan Duke was third. And in sportsman, it was Josh Henderson winning again with Bobby Prout second. He's on the right. And Frank Goff was third.
On the left.
On the left, kind of backwards. But anyway, that's okay. So the Texas Retro Series was at Dallas Lot Cars. And in Retro Pro, Casey Neubauer was your winner. Ricky Bailey on the left second, and Bob Belhazen third. Can-Am, we had Gary Dean winning with Richard Hoffer on the left second and Dave Barry on the right third. And in F1, Gary Dean did it again with Casey second and Ricky in third.
Cool.
Then there was another drag race that I really didn't know about until I seen the results, but there was a winter slam race at Route 60 in Ashland, Kentucky. And I guess they had 156 entries for their bracket race on Friday night. Little Rat was the winner, and runner-up was Michael Jones, but that's not Michael Jones on the right. That's Steve Collier.
Steve Collier, yeah.
So, but in the 64 shootout, Steve Collier was the winner, and Little Rat was the runner-up. And then on Saturday brackets, I guess they had 220 entries, and Steve Collier was the big winner. And it's kind of interesting because there was also the Winter Nats was scheduled at Bullitt Raceway in Louisville, and I could not find any results for that race. So there's kind of two big drag races in the same state, excuse me, on the same weekend. So I don't know what happened at Bullitt. So maybe we'll have some information next week. Then the OCC, the Ohio Challenge Cup, was at Tom Thumb Hobbies in Columbus, Ohio. And in the GT1B class, it was Keith Nelson, your winner, Dan Halfhill in second, and Danny Shirey in third. And the GT1A, I never seen a podium shot, but Greg Mayer was your winner. David DeCoster was second. Eric Shirey was third. In the Group 10 class, Jason Dennis was your winner. Cap Henry was second. Josh Crutchfield was third. And in GTP, that's the GTP podium. I don't know what Eric Shirey's doing there on the left, but Cap Henry was the winner in the center, and Eric was second, and Rick Starkey was third. You any idea what Shirey's doing there?
Being Eric Shirey, I guess.
There you go. Being Eric Shirey. Great Lakes Retro was at the – now this gets confusing. Great Lakes Retro was at the Track Raceway in South Bend, Indiana. And we raced Can-Am and F1, and we had the same podium results in both classes. I was the winner, JP was second, and Terry Watson was third. So that's your boom winning race results.
Sunday, Sunday,
That's right.
Sunday.
That's your cue, Ralph, to say it. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. So this weekend, we've got BRS at Fast Tracks in Fremont, Ohio. The Penn, Ohio is at Mark's Model World in Canton, Ohio. You got the AWRA at Hobby Max in Durham, North Carolina. B&E Crosstown Challenge at Mid-America. The Ohio Oval Series at HMS. And in the upcoming weeks, we got the U.S. Slot Car Bracket Nationals at Tri-State Raceway. We've got ORS Retro East Penn Jersey, B&E, SIS, Mid-American Hardbody Series, USCA, New England Retro Racing, GUR, Florida Slot Car Series, Mid-South, Triangle, Rebel Series, Great Lakes, and the Midwest Slot Car Series all coming up with a lot of special like Daytona 500 races too here and there.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into hot topics, Ralph.
Ooh, hot topics.
You brought up hot topics. We got hot topics.
All right.
So I don't know if this is really a hot topic, but in the last, I guess it started yesterday.
Still pretty cool though.
It's cool. Yeah, it's definitely a cool thing. Felipe DeLespine and Howie, and I don't know if anybody else went, but they went and visited Jay Leno's Big Dog Garage. I guess probably on Monday or Tuesday after the Checkpoint Cup race. I don't know what day it was, but pictures surfaced yesterday. So there's Howie with Jay Leno.
And I imagine that's not an easy place to get into.
Probably not. I would say not at all. Probably a pretty hard location to find too. But several months back, John Gorski had sent a slot car out, and I guess gave it to or presented it. He wasn't there to present it, but he sent it to Jay Leno, and there was pictures of that floating around. That was pretty cool too. But here we've got Felipe and Howie in the inside the doors of the big dog garage. So don't know if Jay Leno really cared, but I'm sure it was real cool for Howie and Felipe to get in there and see all the cool cars.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and then, their hot topic was there was going to be a special meeting, USRA discussion at the Hillbilly Nats down at Tracy's.
And I drove up there. I left Saturday morning, 5 a.m. to get there, and there was no meeting.
No meeting. No, the story is there was.
I tried to bring you guys the scoop.
Yeah.
I failed.
Eye on the scene, Ralph Thorne. Nothing happened. So anyway, I guess there was some discussion, and I guess pay attention to Facebook the next couple of weeks. There's supposed to be something posted, so we'll see what transpires. The other hot topic is motor testing. Lots of series are currently testing motors, looking for additions, maybe replacements, not sure. I guess just stay tuned. And of course, it's all about fun, and there's the Fontaine Motor Company. They can service your needs for slot car racing fun. And social media, that's always a hot topic. So we might talk a little bit about that here in a few minutes. But I think the coolest, well, maybe not the coolest, but I thought the interesting topic was, what is that, Ralph?
That looks like the wall that Trump's building in Mexico. No?
No.
Sandbagging, maybe?
Yeah, sandbagging. Sandbagging. That's that'll be our topic we're going to talk about here in a few seconds. But as far as everything else goes, that's all, folks. So.
That's all, folks.
Da-da-da-da. So anyway, sandbagging. I never really thought about sandbagging much. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I guess there was maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say an incident, or I don't think it was really a big deal. It's led to some discussion now, I think, over on the blog, plus definitely on Facebook. So have you ever sandbagged in a race, Ralph? Let me back up. Have you ever sandbagged in qualifying in a race? Because I think that sandbagging in qualifying and sandbagging in a race is two different things, and I just want to talk about sandbagging and qualifying right now.
I mean, we talked about this earlier. And I really can't think of anything for a time that I have.
Okay.
If I would have ever sandbagged, it would have only been in qualifying, and that would only be for some goofy reason if they were seeing the mains funny or something like that.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? But that's such a gamble.
Right.
It's just a gamble. There is really no way to sandbag unless you're just trying to qualify into like a C main so you can get more track time. But I mean, I really can't think of a time that I have.
Okay.
Or in the race.
Okay. And I mean,
I'm there to race, so
yeah, right. I mean, and it was probably only, again, like you, I can't ever recall really sandbagging. Like the only time I can say that I actually, and I didn't think I was sandbagging. I was trying to strategically place myself into the A main so I wouldn't have to start on red lane or white lane. So I wanted to be, it was several years ago at Sano.
So you're saying you couldn't get like lane choice or something?
Well, years ago at the Sano, if you qualified fastest, you would start on red lane. If you were second fastest, you started on white lane. Well, I didn't want to start on either one of those two lanes. And so, and I tried to qualify myself where I thought I should finish third, fourth, fifth, or sixth.
Right.
Well, I wound up going
round up in the B main or something.
Well enough that I was fastest qualifier in the B main. I had to start on red lane anyway.
Like seventh, or that would, you've been seventh overall.
But okay, so again, that kind of threw my not wanting to start on red lane out the window. But I did not want to be in the B main. Okay, but I think actually when it was all said and done, that was my biggest advantage to winning the A main that day. Because I won the B main, I moved up to the A main, and I knew what my car needed or what it was going to do or what it wasn't going to do.
And you got to change your tire choice or something like that.
So I got to start the A main knowing what the track was like,
what
condition it was in, what was needed. I don't really remember changing much of anything other than putting another set of tires on that were legal. And I won the A main that day. And I think, I always said after that was all over, I think that if I'd have been starting the A main, I don't know if I would have won, but because I don't think I would have been the fastest qualifier that day. But there was some surprises.
There's been plenty of times where I've qualified in the B and won the B with more laps than I ran in the A.
Correct.
So
Correct. And and that was part of the discussion. Like there was lots of part of that discussion, but one part was how can a guy qualify so slow and then maybe an hour or two later be so much faster in the race? Well, sometimes the track comes to you. Like you could have too hard a tire when you qualify and the track isn't ran in yet or rubbered up. Then they run a couple races, your race comes up. Now the track suits your car suits the track. Now you can run fast.
And there's a lot of people that just aren't good qualifiers.
That's correct too.
And there's a lot of people that are better qualifiers than racers. So,
and we call them one lap. We call them one lap wonders.
Yeah, is that what you're calling me?
No.
So, I mean, there's always a little bit of both going on,
Right. And then another thing that was posted was, and I'm not gonna mince no names, but like, and this was all about Randy Marshall because we would go to races where they'd have move up races, and Randy would take no time.
No time.
And he would start dead last.
Yeah.
And in one particular race, he won the C main, he won the B main, moved up, and he got second in the A main. Now, is taking no time sandbagging? No, if you don't like run a time or attempt to run a time. And Randy's thing was he just wanted to get warmed up, if you will, because he hadn't raced that much. But again, he knew what the car needed as he moved from race to race. And then it was said, then it was said like, well, he took away a move up from a deserving racer. Okay, fine. But when he took no time, that bumped someone up into the A main that wouldn't have been there if Randy would have qualified in the A. And it also bumped somebody up into the B main that wouldn't have qualified into the B main if Randy had qualified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it can go either way. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like it in general, but
So,
there's
how do you stop it?
two sides to it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how you do stop it. I mean, obviously that you could stop because you could say, you have to make a qualifying attempt, I guess, but then he could have come up and then he could just run like quarter throttle, and then
Right.
what do you do? But
Or come off every other turn.
see, that's kind of what I don't like about some of the big races where they hand out. I like that they hand out prize to the lower main finishers,
Right.
but I feel like that kind of creates some sandbaggage. When you start getting like, person who finishes third in the D main, well, if or fourth in the D main or whatever, like if you know you're not going to move up,
Right.
you might knock off a couple laps to get that free prize.
Sure.
If it's really going to, if you know it's going to make no difference overall or something,
But yeah. So I didn't
that
know.
can kind of create that a little bit, but
I didn't know if you'd ever sandbag, but
I mean, like you said, there's how do you police it?
right.
You
And then and there's times like when I qualify, I know that my car will probably go faster, but I won't take the risk of running the car off and maybe damaging the car, hurting the car, trying to get TQ. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I mean, TQ's not everything. I mean, a lot of guys go out there and really go for it. I just kind of put my car on and run it at a pace that I want to run it at and not take a risk of destroying it or hurting it. And some people tell you that's sandbagging because if you're not running full out, you're sandbagging.
I'd rather win practice than qualifying.
There you go.
If you don't qualify good, everyone still knows you're fast because they saw you win practice.
Yeah, they say, what happened? You were so fast in practice.
Right, yeah. I can't tell how many times I'd go run a lap.
Right.
And then go qualify and does not even come close to the lap I just ran, Happens all the time.
See, I don't put a lot of stock into other people's practice times because you don't know if they're cars are legal or not. Like,
yeah, they could be sandbagging practice.
Or cheating to win practice too. Because
right. Small tires or wrong motor or, it happens all the time.
Right.
Thin bodies, whatever.
Yep. You never know. So the main thing is just to concentrate on your program and make your car as good as it can be. And then make laps in the race by staying on. I mean, it's like last week at the Great Lakes race, for example. I mean, we didn't have a huge turnout, so we had like 8 Can-Am cars. So we ran 2 races, 4 and 4. So we'd have marshals, and that's the first time. I mean, that's like it's a 110-foot hill climb. It's a bull ring, and that's the first time I ever ran a race there, and we would run like 3-minute heats and never get a break. We never get a track call because there was never any big wrecks.
Right.
And I told JP after the race, I said, I'm kind of worn out because I've never run this kind of pace lap after lap.
Not getting a break, yeah.
Not getting a break. And he was like, wow, you're kind of right, So it was just weird because we've never had that clean of a race there with 8 cars on it, I guess more than 6 cars on the track. So but the track was good too. So
let me ask you this. So does breakout racing solve the problem of sandbagging?
Well, I guess if you're qualifying, but why would you sandbag in a breakout race?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, does breakout racing eliminate sandbagging?
It doesn't matter what main you're in that deal okay. I don't know that, breakout racing is usually the breakout's set so much higher than you can actually run your car at. Like Tracy's, okay, they run a 9-second breakout, for example, on the King track with those stock cars. And those cars, I guess, can run like 8.3s, 8.4s pretty easy. So, you don't have to run. You can really run your car really soft and easy and still probably break out. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know that being in a slower main would be an advantage unless more guys break, and there would be less chances of crashing where guys wouldn't finish the race. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes in lower mains, you've got guys that are just notorious for not finishing races. The cars fall apart or lead wires break or
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there could be an advantage with less cars, less traffic, less people crashing per se.
But just because there's a breakout, I mean, does that really mean that everyone's going to keep it on like they would in the A main?
I don't know.
So maybe.
I mean, I think in breakout racing, it's easy. I would think it's easier to race and stay on because you have to go slow to make your lap count. Like when we're racing regular, everybody's always on the edge trying to go as fast as they can for every single lap, unless they build up a big lead and then they can kind of, back off and kind of cruise around. And then again, if I've got a 10-lap lead and I quit pushing and I start now am I not sandbagging now in the race? I always call it going on the defense, but
yeah, I mean that's probably a little bit different than
right. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about the qualifying aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and at the same time, like I said with Randy, I mean, then Randy didn't take no time in Can-Am, and he won the C main, moved up to the B main, was easily going to move up, but then he hit a car and broke his guide flag. And I remember
that's the chances you take,
Right. And I remember telling him, I'm like, dude, if you'd have qualified in the A main, that probably wouldn't have happened. But then again, it could have happened. He could have hit someone in the A main and done the same thing. But
right,
yeah, that's just a risk you take if you're going to run in the lower mains. You're definitely going to You're definitely going to run against cars that handle bad or worse. Drivers that aren't so good yet at timing to when let you go or stay out of your way or stay in. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, I know some of those guys, because they said the motor brushes were so hard in the motors, they wanted to run extra races to get the brushes seated in so the motors would go faster.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What race was this?
This Checkpoint Cup.
Oh.
The
They
Can-Am.
kept breaking the motor right.
Well, I know. But they had limited time, I guess. I mean, I'm thinking they got their motors race morning and then had an hour or two to probably get them ready. So I don't know. I wasn't there for all that, but
I feel like I could have got mine broken in 2 hours.
Right. Well, like I said, the topic was sandbagging.
Yeah.
And then again, is it people just
That's such a risk, like especially on that track, because you're gonna hit somebody, you're wide open.
Pretty much.
Like, I mean, what are the chances you're gonna take a shot and keep going?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I don't do it. I wouldn't have done it myself, but
Right.
I don't know how you stop it.
No, I don't think you can stop it. I don't think there's no way. Unless you set some kind of reverse breakout to where when you qualify, you have to go. I mean, for example, you can still have sandbagging within that. I mean, if you was watching practice and the slowest car out there was 4 flat and the fastest car was 3.3, set your breakout to like 4.10, and you have to go 4.10 to qualify. But my car's 3.3, and I mean, I could go 3.7 real easy.
Are you really going to tell somebody no, they got to go home because they didn't meet minimum qualifying speed?
Right. Yeah, we need every entry we can get. Now you want to throw guys out because
sorry, sir, but you suck. You don't get to race.
No, and the thing is too, like, new guys that race or inexperienced guys, or whatever you want to call them. We all started out at the bottom. We all worked our way up, or in some of us are now starting and working our way up.
Right.
I mean, you have to. The goal is every time you go to the track, you need to try and go faster than you went the time before and run more laps than you did the time before.
Sure. I mean, even if you can't go faster because of so many variables, but at least try and run more laps. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you always want to try and improve what you have done and realize that, if you're 20 laps behind the guys that's winning, but those guys have got 10, 20 years experience, it's going to take you some time to get there. So you're going to have some patience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I had a local track and I'd go race just their weekly program. I mean, I didn't like to race very often.
Right.
Very fair, but when I did go race, they'd always say, "Well, why do you race? You already know you're going to win." And I said, "Well, I'm just trying to see how many laps I can turn."
Right.
That's all I was there for.
Right.
Because I knew that if I could turn more laps, that I was getting better or something was getting better.
Right.
You know.
Yep. Well, that's how I got, like, early on. That's how I got good at qualifying, because I would go to the track and no one was there, and we'd put the timer on the track, and I would race the timer and try and figure out which turn I could go faster, or I'm going, a lot of times, most of it was I was going up the donut, like going zzz, zzz, zzz with the car, making it go sideways, and I was losing so much time. When I learned to drive the car nice and smooth, where I had traction all the way around, I went a ton faster. So that helped me to become a smoother driver, which made me go faster. And then if you're driving smoother like that, you're more in control when you're racing, so you should be able to turn more laps. Because if you're running your car and it's out of control, the car's going to come off on you. It's not going to give you any warning it's coming off. It's just going to come off, and you're losing time. So, it's like I always say, the more time you are in the marshal's hand, the more time you're losing, and the further you're getting behind. When you look at a lot of races, like, for example, if you're on a 4-second track and you get beat by 2 laps, you only got beat by 8 seconds.
Right.
But if you were off 4 times, there's your 8 seconds right there.
Right.
Because the fastest
obviously you don't want to fall off any, but like I guess what I shoot for, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but I try not to fall off more than once a heat. Like,
right.
If I'm at a big race, I'll just say, okay, you can come off like once every 2 heats, and you can probably still have a shot to win this or something.
Right.
Like I try to set like a goal or limit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And if I come off early in that heat, then sometimes I'll try to back it down a little bit to make sure you just don't do it again. Because you can typically get away with like one off if it's not a really, really high level race.
Right.
But like a regional race or something, you can get away with like one off and still win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
again, you want to kind of run your own pace and stay on and make it. Because in most races, you'll have 2 or 3 guys who are going to go out with mechanical failures and not finish the race, or get so far behind that they're not even going to be in the hunt per se. So, a lot of times I'll see guys, they're racing someone that's 30 laps behind and they're broke. And it's like, why are you racing that guy? Not to beat you. Okay.
Right.
So, just stay on and but, at the same time, it's like, if a guy's faster than you and he's in the lane next to you and he's coming up on you, and it's the middle of the race, early part of the race, middle part of the race, let him go. Just let him go somewhere safe where he's not going to knock you off and where you're not going to knock him off. Because
when people ask me, I always tell them, I say the middle of the straightaway.
Right.
Not in the bank.
Right.
Not going into the dead man. Just the middle of the straightaway.
Right. Right. And not stopping 6 inches off the top turn either.
Right. I know I was going to let you go, like right there.
Right.
Sort of,
So it's called a respect thing, because, guys that let me go, there comes days I have to let them go. So if they've let me go, I'm going to let them go. It's just a respect thing. But if I got somebody that's really jacked me around, well, he's not going to get around as quickly or as easy as he would want to.
It's like more racing. If you're faster than me, which happens a lot, I always let you go on the straightaway. And if you come up on me in the back half, I always say to you, I say, just wait till we get to the straightaway.
Right.
Like,
and
be patient to get to the straightaway, and I'll give it to you. But just be patient for a half a lap till we get there, and then.
And you have to communicate with the guy next to you and let him know what you're going to do. Because I got 2 weeks ago at Tri-State, I ran up on a bunch of guys, And I've raced with them so many times I would think that they know it's going to be the same deal. But they would stop in stupid spots, and I'm like, don't stop there. Just go to the straightaway. I'm not going to run you over. I don't want to knock you off. But if they stop going into a turn and they're on the outside, and I expect I'm going to follow them, but they suddenly stop, I may knock them off,
Right.
myself off, or knock us both off, and we both lose.
Right.
So you gotta talk to the guy next to you and say,
and sometimes you just come up on people in spots that you really don't expect to. Sometimes
right,
that happens when maybe you don't have bigger fields, and there's some people that are really fast and some people that are not
right,
really used to being in the A main or something. You know, like
right.
sometimes you just, that's one of the hard. I mean, honestly, one of the harder parts about being fast is knowing and learning how to pass.
Right.
And I mean, I always said it's up to the person making the pass to make the pass. Like,
correct.
You can't always, like, the slower car, they don't have to let you go.
No, they don't have to.
But if it's courtesy that they do, but technically they don't have to let you go. It's not their job to let you by, because you could be guy coming up on the guy next to you and he's racing
right
a fight for his life for 8th. Well, I mean, that's his right to race for 7th or 8th, as it is anybody's to race for 1st or 2nd, you know?
Right.
And that means as much to them as it does to you. So, I mean, that's the big thing, is just talking to people next to you or a couple of drivers down at the panel, you know? I mean,
right.
we talked about this in one of the earlier episodes, is, you know, we called it racecraft.
Right.
And that's part of racecraft, I think, you know?
But if I'm racing with you in the last tee of the race, there's 30 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading and you're on the same lap and you're catching me, okay? And I know you're faster than me. I probably, if I think I can hold you off for the next 30 seconds, I'm going to probably do my best to hold you off.
Sure.
But at the same time, I know if you knock me off, then that's part of me trying to hold you off. So, but then I got to think about the same thing now. Like if in that case, if I'm leading, you're second, you're faster than me, and you're on the lane next to me, and you're catching me, or you've caught me, and you're all over my back end, but I'm only a lap up on third. Okay, I got to make a decision. Do I try and win, and knowing that if Ralph knocks me off,
or do you cost yourself second?
I may go from first to third.
Right.
Versus I can let him go and safely be in second and hope that maybe you may fall off one more time before the race is over and I might pass you. Because we kind of had that situation one time at the stock car race down in Tennessee, I think. Because I slowed down.
Okay.
You were catching me and you passed me. And you kind of had it in the bag because my motor was really slow.
Which race was this?
This would have been the second Southern Shootout. Or wait a minute. It would have been the Music City Shootout when we were at Rick's.
Yeah.
And my motor slowed.
That's when I beat you with your loaner car. That's all I remember.
Yeah, well, no, you didn't beat me. You would have beat me.
Pretty sure I did.
No, I got the first place trophy right there. You were second.
I won one class.
Yeah, you won Coops, I think. But it was
with your car, right?
Well, I don't remember. Maybe.
I think so.
Okay, but it was a stock car class because I led, and then my motor slowed down big time.
Mm-hmm. And then I think all I had to do was keep it on or something, right? And
you passed me. All you had to do was keep it on. I think you fell off.
Yeah.
So I wound up winning the race.
Right.
Which I was not going to win if you'd stayed on.
Yeah, I remember that now. I definitely remember that.
You know, that was less than a minute to go or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't think we were side by side.
Yeah, and I won Coops and you won Can-Am, I think.
Okay. So, yeah, it was just one of those deals where, I knew I was a sitting duck. You finally caught me. You passed me. And then you fell off. And I'm like, oh, I'm back in the lead. And then you
there's other situations too. I mean, like, if we're on a king track and I'm like, we're in the last heat with like 30 seconds to go and I'm on blue and you're on green, well, I don't know who's on orange, but choo-choo. I mean, sometimes you can't wait. Okay,
Right, right,
you just gotta blow the horn and go.
right.
But I mean, but most of the time, you just gotta work with people.
Yeah, you got to work together. Like I said, with in the last minute of a race or something, all bets are off if it's that close. And I mean, I think the Group 7 race last weekend at Tracy's, like I said, I mean, it came down to Buford and Forrest, and Buford was obviously a tenth faster than Forrest. And I don't know if that was as fast. I mean, Forrest could have been straight up, no choke, and that's as fast as he was going. Or maybe he was on 6 foot of choke and Buford was on 2 foot of choke because he's going for it. Forrest is being a little conservative, and maybe he sped up a little bit, but was a little bit too late. But I mean, I was kind of watching the timer, and he never really went any faster during the heat at any point. So I'm kind of thinking he was as fast as he was going. So
yeah, I mean, there's nothing more disappointing to me though. Like, there's no heartbreak, no bigger heartbreak to lose a race. It's like if you were on black and I was on orange, and I'm coming up to pass you for the lead, and I'm like 0.3 a lap faster.
yeah, because of the lane difference, yeah.
And then there's like some clown on purple who just blows it and smokes me.
Right.
And then you end up running around for the win when, like, obviously I would have had that in the bag.
Right.
But that happens too, though.
That happens
all the
too.
time. I mean,
that's a racing deal.
Yeah, it's just right.
It's a racing deal. And I mean, I've lost a lot of races that way, and I think everybody's probably lost races that way.
Sure. And I've probably been that guy, I'm sure.
And there's times I've won races that way too. Like,
yeah.
Something happened. So,
like I remember this. I remember this one race between me and James Merriman, and we started the first heat, and I led every single lap of the race. Okay. We crossed the counter under power. Track shuts off.
He coasts by you.
He coast by me. He never led a lap and won the race. Like, that was one of the craziest things I've ever had happen. I was so hot at the time too, but I just got to laugh at it now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, just crazy things can happen. They really can.
Yeah, because I can remember, like, real early in my racing deal, like, I don't remember where I was at, but somebody coasted by somebody after the power went off.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there thinking, well, who was leading when the power went off?
Right.
And they were like, no, it's just whoever's in front when the car stopped rolling. And really, you can't do it any other way, because someone would have to be watching those two cars that last 10 seconds to actually know.
Yeah. Well, ultimately,
and then how do you prove it?
Yeah, ultimately, what would be cool is if we had the technology
to do photo
say, like, if you're running a 2-minute heat, right?
Right.
In the 8th 2-minute heat ends while the leader's 20 feet before the line.
Right.
If the timer could extend to the leader took the checkered flag, so to speak, cross the stripe.
Well, see, that's like
kind of cool.
Well, that's like in RC racing, because at the end of the race, they always tell you to finish the lap you're on.
Right.
So because they're running timed.
Sure, transponders and everything. Yeah.
Right. So basically, at the end of an 8-minute run, you may just cross the finish line at 7:56.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But the race ends at 8 minutes.
Right. So you got to keep going.
You got to come around and finish your lap, and everyone else has to complete their lap.
Yeah, see, I always thought the coast thing was kind of BS in general, but there's no other way to do it. So
right,
what we do,
because there's no finish line, and there's no we don't race to a finish line.
Right.
And there are no.
Cool if we did, but
there's no photo finish cameras.
Right.
So I know that, like, years in past, we would run races that would be like 500 lap races. The winner actually ran 500 laps, and as soon as that guy crossed the lap counter finish line and it went 500, boom, the power went off, and so we did race to the line in those types of races, but the rest of our races are minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but in the end, though, I mean, if you're the faster car and you pass somebody like 10 times the heat, and you feel like they don't let you by, I mean, they really don't have to in the end.
Well, you made the comment earlier. I'm a slower car. I don't have to let you go.
Right.
And I'm the faster car. I don't really have to cut you any slack. I mean,
Right.
it works both ways.
Both ways, right.
Right. And the biggest thing I see is taking the risk of getting your car wrecked, crashed, broke, and you're spending time over in the pits trying to put your car back together. And I mean, my classic story always was several years ago at the Israel USA Nats. As I'm coming up to lap this guy for probably the fifth or sixth time in the race, let alone probably the second time in that heat, he did not want to let me go. And I got kind of frustrated. And the only way I was really going to pass him is if I took a risk on the outside of him, which I wasn't going to do. I mean, I'm leading the race by 6 laps. So I kind of got on his back end and hoping he'd make a mistake, but he wasn't making any. And I kept asking him, like, can I get by? And it was like his hearing aid was off. So there was a track call. Well, no, the track call was he came off in front of me coming onto the straightaway and took us both out. And track went off because it was straightaway. And he was still ahead of me. And I said, hey, can I get by? And he says, do whatever you got to do to get by me.
Challenge accepted.
I was like, what? I go, wait a minute. And like the race director was like, yeah, I want to hear this too. You know, they're going to turn the track back on. I said, so you want to take the risk of me walling you and putting you out of the race? Like, you've got nothing to gain by holding me up right now. So power came on. I think he spun his tires. I got ahead of him. So later in the race, he's on purple, I'm on yellow, and at King Track. And by this time of the race, he is like 15 laps down to me, okay? He's in second, just a lap or two ahead of third. Again, fighting for his life for second. And I come up on him, and I'm like following him and following him and following him. And I'm like, hey, you want to let me by? And he's like, do whatever it takes. And I really didn't want, I normally would not do this, but I felt a lesson needed to be taught that day. So I got him up to Donut, and he went up finishing fourth.
Puffed him coming up the donut.
And then after the race, I went over and had a talk with him and explained it. And he has always let me go ever since if I'm faster than him. And if he's faster than me, I've let him go. So there's like the respect thing there. But he learned, but he had to learn the hard way.
Right.
But he had a sure second place, and he blew it.
Sure.
But it was his choice.
Right.
So, and people say, well, you were 15 laps up on him. You could have just followed him. It's like, well, yeah, but at the same time, he could have let me go.
Right.
So it's been good ever since with that individual. But But he learned his lesson.
Yeah.
I never ever heard him say to anyone else, do what you got to do to get around me. So after that. So
yeah, I mean, I've smoked a lot of people on accident. I mean,
and I know
really on accident, but it happens sometimes.
And I know, I know out there in some places that's the way they race. It's just like every man for himself. Yeah. Nerf or be nerfed. Crash your buddy. I mean, but when you get to the point where you really want to run those laps and totals, you can't be doing that. So I still say we need to have a race somewhere someday where we run the old rotation system where you start on red and you run red, white, green, orange, blue, yellow, purple, black. And whoever's next to you is always next to you the entire race.
That could be good and that could be bad.
Yeah, there was good and bad. There was good and bad.
Yeah.
But it's just totally different strategy.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm racing, I don't ever just focus on my car. I mean, I'm always using my peripherals. I mean, I got the whole track. I know where everybody is.
My ears.
Yeah, at all times. So, I mean, if you're coming up on me, like, chances are you don't have to tell me. I know who's coming up on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Right. And then, there'll be a lot of times some guys will come up on me, like, they'll come up and, like, be catching me, and they'll get to me, and I'm like, am I holding you up? No, you're fine. Okay. But then there's times, like, I'll just let them go because I find myself more looking at them because I'm on the defensive. I don't want to get knocked off. So I find myself, I'm paying more attention to them or their car, how close it is to me, where it's just easier to just let them go and just kind of get them out of my view.
Yeah, and I mean, in years and years ago, I mean, when I first started racing with you a lot, like I would be, we'd be in the A, but I'd be so nervous that it was you coming up on me, and I didn't want to cost you your race, that I'd be watching you, and then right before I go to let you go, I would drive off and get you or something,
Right.
It would make me nervous.
Right.
And so that happens too. I mean, I get that a lot. People are like, "Oh, I was going to let you go," and then they come off.
Right. Yeah. Anytime you're more worried about the other guy's car than your car, you probably need to stop and get them out of the picture.
Right. So.
And deal with them later if you start catching them again. So.
And then there's always the classic thing where, like, when you come up on somebody, and then they want to race you.
Right.
And then they live for like the 2 laps of glory. Like, I'm with him. He beat me by 40 laps, but man, when he came up on me, I ran with him for 2 laps.
Well, I remember the first time I raced with Howie. Like, that's how he was. Like, I'm out there racing and I catch him, and as soon as I catch him, it's like he takes off.
I can't get by this guy. What happened?
Okay. And we could be a lane or two apart or next to each other, but every time I would catch him, he would take off. Well, then I would catch him later, and he would take off again. It was like he must just be out there cruising, and then, oh, here comes a faster car. I'm going to pick up my pace. I don't know. It was weird. So,
yeah,
it's like, wow, Howie definitely has the faster car today, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of a lot of people who know they're not going to win. I mean, that's part of the thrill for the day, knowing that they kept up with you for a certain amount of period or whatever.
Right. And then there's some days third place is a win, too, for yourself. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on who, where, and why, and how.
I can't tell how many times I'd be running 7th or 8th and wind up 2nd or 3rd and be like, good enough for me.
Yeah, that was kind of always my deal. If you get down early, see how far you can come back.
Mm-hmm.
So, which that's a whole nother topic for another show. Winning a race and finishing ahead of everyone else. I should say beating everyone versus finishing ahead of everyone.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a secret word of the show this week?
Oh. See, again, I hadn't thought about it.
Again, you knew the show was coming.
Okay, so, I never think about that. So, so basically because the big news story was Brad Friesner, world record, we'll just say the secret word is Brad.
All right, there you go. Fair enough.
And so when you type Brad, you're kind of congratulating Brad for his major accomplishment.
There you go.
I need to send him a leg lamp. It's a major award.
It's a major award.
Fragile.
All right.
All right, Ralph. Well, everybody goes racing this week and have fun and be safe.
Yep. Definitely.
And don't sandbag.
No sandbagging.
That could have been a secret word, too.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys.
See you
That's
next week.
episode 25. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
See ya.